The World Cup ended a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, and at the end of the World Cup, a whole lot of people would have felt Gianni Infantino is riding very high. Elections is coming up in March next year, and that we're electing for another term. Um, Immediately the World Cup ended, nobody would have expected, the backlash Gianni Infantino would have gotten. It was on a high, and within 3 weeks, it's on a low. There were reports that Gianni Infantino um, has a plan to sell 20% stake to private equity firm, meaning he's selling the stake of the World Cup to private equity such that those people will be able to have influence on how the World Cup goes. A lot of people in FIFA, they've come out to revolt against him. His vice, who is an American, came out and said the plan from Infantino, he did not carry any of them along. Infantino practically lied to all of them, and all this decision to sell the stake to private equity was for one man specifically, and you know a whole lot of this football federation have decided to pull out. We've seen UEFA come out to say they are not going to be part of this. CONMEBOL and CONCACAF has come out to say they are not going to support this. The AFC has come out. The only few others that have not said anything is CAF and the rest of that. And that has forced Gianni Infantino to abandon this particular plan in selling the 20% stake. What do you make of this? Do you think it's a good idea that football sell some of his independency to private equity such that you have investors investing in football? And the argument for Gianni Infantino is this brings a whole lot of money and they can use that money to be able to grow the game. What do you make of this?
I feel like where where football federations all over the world. You understand? You're talking FIFA, you're talking UEFA, you're talking CAP, you're talking CONCACAF, you're talking EFC. You understand? All of them. I think we are rich enough. I think we have money. Sorry, I think we have enough money. So the argument of Infantino making more money doesn't make sense, especially
Hmm.
if you are going to be selling shares to private equities. Football federation should be for football. Like football should be football. That's why that's the nonsense that you see happening these days. If you are going to run a football, if you are going to run a football federation, if you are going to run a football organization, you understand? Everything should be football related. You understand? Sharing shares, giving shares to private. Okay, now you want to give how many percent? Is it 10% or 20% or 50%?
20%,
Whatever
20%
percent
stake.
you want to share.
He wants to sell 20%
Imagine
stake.
20, 20, okay, 20 to private individuals like me and you that will be running a football federation. For what? Does it make sense?
Hmm.
Especially something as big as FIFA. You understand? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Our FIFA is an insult, honestly. It's an insult because there's no individual big enough. There's no individual big enough to run these things. You understand? No individual on this earth is big enough. Football
Hmm.
is bigger than that. You understand? When I saw the news now, it was very, very disappointing because I don't know how they see football over there. Obviously, Infantino doesn't it doesn't rate football. He doesn't value football that much for him to even propose such a plan. And I'm very happy that the AFC, you understand, the CONCACAF, you understand, UEFA, and all other bodies have come out to come against this. You understand? They threatened him. They threatened that if he goes further with this thing, yes, they threatened him. They said if
Yeah,
he goes
true.
further with this thing, he won't like the outcome. And see, this is not going to help his case for the election because this is rubbish. If you're going to be a football, if you're going to be a federation president, and you're thinking like this, that means
Hmm.
you don't have football interest in that. You cannot be thinking like this. And you're going to be a president. You're going to do that presidency because nobody wants to. What's your reason? You want to make more money. What do you mean more money? Is this cap we're talking about here? This is not cap we're talking about. If it was personal and yeah, nonsense, or I'll say, okay, yes, you guys want to make more money because maybe some people are, but this is not cap. This is zero. So it doesn't make sense in any way. It doesn't make sense in any way. And let him behave.
Hmm.
I'm warning Infantino through this show. Let him behave. If he doesn't behave, he will lose the election. You understand? And to bring in somebody that is more capable, somebody that is more football oriented, somebody that have this more passion in to run this federation. I even saw Infantino at the Zambia game when I was watching it. I saw, I think it was at the stands or something.
Yes,
And
he was there.
he
He
attended.
was
I
there.
don't know why he's attending. He was there. Right? I know my eyes are still wrong. I saw him there before the old Barbara Banda shoot. Uh, so things like that, I just think that it's not right. You understand? It's not right. I mean, the EFC have said the EFC, the CONCACAF, and the UEFA, they said they have said their mind already. You understand? And they've threatened that if you go further with this, you understand, we're going to you know like the consequences. And I'm happy that he has stopped the plan. He has revoked the plan. So
But let me play devil's advocate. UEFA, CONCACAF, AFC, they threatened to pull out of any FIFA hosted competition. That includes the male and the female. Um, this is we have about 7 federations. 3 of them are coming against him. Don't you think 3 federations cannot hold down the decision of other federations? Because I don't think every other federation is coming out to against this move. Our own Amadou Pinnick was on TV, and he said FIFA selling a stake gives federation more money, that the NFF is set to pocket about $20 million a year if this move go through. Don't you think John Infantino is thinking about development of football in all these other federations than the more established federations? Because I mean, $20 million, if that comes to the NFF, that is, if the mosquitoes will not take the money away, that will bring a whole lot of development that we've been talking about. Don't you think the move from Infantino is more of him thinking about the development of the game across other regions? Let me give you a typical example. If you look at the female teams that we have, Egypt did not qualify for this WAFCON. Cape Verde did not qualify. They only qualified on the basis of we have an expanded tournament, an expanded with women FIFA World Cup. That's the reason why they qualified. A whole lot of countries in Africa do not have a female team. If this kind of money comes into Africa, if NFF is getting $20 million, I wonder what every other federations will get. I think this will go a long way in developing football. Don't you think that was what Infantino is thinking about before wanting to sell a stake to a private equity firm that will bring in more money?
honestly, we don't know better than the other federations, important federations that refuse to go along with it. All right, we don't know better than them. And if Infantino, like you said, if that's what he's thinking about, maybe he's considering, which I don't think that's what he's thinking about. I don't think he's considering the NFF. I don't think he's considering the combo. I don't think he's considering and the UFC, that the Oceania. I don't think he's considering all this lesser. I'm not calling them lesser federations. You understand? And also, I don't think. I don't think. I think it is about. I think this is about just um uh how should I put this thing? Okay, take
Greed,
for
right?
example now. Um, I huh?
Greed.
Yeah, no, yeah, during this part of it, I don't. Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir. I don't think this is about considering other federations because there's a way to go about it. Not selling it to like private equity, not selling it to not allowing private not allowing private
Sorry.
equities to run a section or a part of your federation, especially if they are not football oriented, if they are not football inclined. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, right? It's very obvious for am I surprised that Magic is coming out to support this? I'm not surprised. If the money come now, say they will share it, or you take your own, you take your own, you take your. That money will not go anywhere. We have seen this before. Why is it not Nigeria? Why am I people to come out and be defend it? Why would you defend? If that money should touch it, I don't know his need. If that money should, they are made. So why would you defend? So am I people know better than the AFC? He doesn't know better than you. You
No.
understand? He doesn't know better than them. You understand? You are the NFF. You are smaller than them. No offense, right? You are
Mm.
very much smaller than them. Maybe you can make a case for your federation not being developed. You understand? Not being equipped. But
Mm.
that's nobody's fault. That's your own doing. That's our
Mm.
own doing. Right?
Mm.
Our salaries are being delayed. No proper stadiums. You receive funds for development of things. You not do them. You understand? You want
I,
part of the
I,
money and you
I,
use
I,
to.
I mean, you mentioned something now. Salary has not been paid. I think that's a whole lot of news. Probably we'll talk about it on Monday. Bonfrey Joe is 80. He said the Atlanta 96 win. They are still owing him till now. That's 31 years after. They are still owing him till now. That's another news on its own. But I mean, because you mentioned that, people are being owed salary and the rest of that, I think probably maybe that's the reason why an Amadou Pinnick is probably supporting this move. Because I mean, if you have somebody who won something 30 years ago and it's 80, is complaining about not being paid, what are we doing as what's the NFL doing as a body?
Is it not shameful? Is it not shameful that the NFF will be depending on the private equity? They are depending on them buying 20% shares for them to pay your salary, for you to pay salaries. Is it not shameful? Does it make sense?
Hmm.
It doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
That's not your business. It's not your business.
Hmm.
So you should not be depending on that and be saying, okay, if this money should enter now, it's just like me now. Okay, let's say as a person, somebody promised me, a long distance uncle of mine promised me money, right? I will not be using that money. They promise you, I will not be using that money to be planning my future. He says, oh yeah, if this money you use, I'll do this one. This one, I did not work for it. So I have no right to make certain plans in place or to. I don't know if I'm making sense here. You know,
True. True.
this is something that comes as this is something that doesn't concern me. You understand? So honestly, let's come on, let's be real here. Let's call it spade a spade. The CONCACAF, the AFC, and UEFA, they said what we want to say already. I mean, these are big federations when it comes to the world right now, and for them to be against it, there's a reason why, right? You understand? So
Oh,
there is no even the AFC they were talking about when it comes to funding, the AFC said they are for a couple of years they are not properly funded.
true.
Yes, they are not properly funded. So it's not like these federations are made like that. It's not like they are properly solid. You understand? Look at some stadiums, the AFC, they're not structured well. They are poor.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this is not something like okay, this one is affecting some people positively, it's going always to affect some people positively. If one your federation to develop, if
Hmm.
one your federation to go big, you do the right thing. You pay salaries on time, you just do the right thing. You understand? So let's not let's not focus on promises or manner that will come from heaven to develop our federation. You understand? It starts
Okay.
from us, it starts from the body, it starts from the end.
One last thing on this particular topic before we go. Do you think Infantino, before we move to the last topic, do you think Infantino wins his next election in March? Yes or no?
Uh, I mean, this is a very this topics like this are things that can swing like that can when maybe you have 60% chance of winning before, but once your name comes up in scandals like this in news like this, your 60% can go from 60% to 45%. That's the way elections works. And
True.
I think that's the reason why he even stepped down after he saw that these bodies were against it and they are not small bodies. That's why he has to step down because if he did not step down, if he was too stubborn about it, your election chances don't go. It's not something that is hidden. If you prove stubborn about it, just one bit, maybe you are trying to say, okay, they lie you. Let's reason like this. Let's do reason like this. The election chances will go from that 50% to
Hmm.
17% or even 1%.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I think its chances have reduced a little bit, right? Its chances have reduced a little bit, but it's chances have also increased because obviously he's going to try to make his decisions make sense by saying he cares about other federations. He wants them to develop. He wants them like what we've been saying so far. I mean, that's a good point to win the masses. That's a good point to win votes. That's a good because they'll be like, okay, he cares about them. You understand? He cares about other federations. He's a good one. He's going to be a good president. You understand? He's going to be the right man to run because he cares. And they're also going to see the point where he instantly backs down after hearing what the other federation have to say. That
mm,
point now is proving loyalty. And that point now is
mm,
proving that he listens to the people. So you can see that it can make sweet thing out of bitter leaf. He's trying to make something sweet. Yes, like not cooking a very sweet part of bitter. So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too far here, but that I'm just trying to say there's a good thing yeah, let's say there's a good thing that's coming from the bitter. So I think Asha, I feel like his chances have kind of reduced and to an angle it has kind of increased. So it's 50.
okay.